So I'd like to start by having a look at some of the material I shot today with EOSHD Pro Color. And this is essentially to give me a really good straight off the card result for video and JPEGs, which I just cannot get with any of the default Sony picture profile settings. And it's also to give me a better S-Log, but we'll save the S-Log for a different video. This is purely focused on the straight off the card results. Now, this first shot is with EOSHD Pro Color, and it's to show that you can have these lovely warm tones of the incandescent light and the kind of natural bluish hue of dusk and the sky in one shot. Now, it tends to be that Sony's default white balance and default picture profile settings just overwhelms the entire shot with whatever the dominant light temperature is in the frame. So in this case, it would be the blue of the sky, and everything else, like the lovely warm shades of the buildings, will just be washed out blue. So we'll play this now, and it'll go into the default settings in a moment. And there you go, that's exactly the problem that I have with all the Sony color profile settings straight out the camera. And it's been a real problem to have this awful, weird yellow glow when it should be beautifully warm and orange, because that happens to skin tones as well, and it makes people look dead. So moving on from this first very basic kind of street shot in natural light, here we have again the beautiful blues and warm tones in one shot. And now look what happens. This is with EOSHD Pro Color, and now we'll switch to the Sony default settings, and again it's a little bit noisier as well, I've noticed, but the main problem is that the blue overwhelms the entire frame. Now moving on, this is with EOSHD Pro Color, and you can dial the warmness up and down. You're definitely not stuck with that kind of warm kind of glow. The Sony one is green, it's yellow, it's hideous. I mean, Canon have understood this for a long, long time, and Fuji as well, that when you take a picture of a talented model or an actress, it's bad if they look dead. And it's not hard to understand, is it? Let's just go to another street scene here. I've very carefully designed EOSHD Pro Color to capture subtleties in shades and a gentle roll-off between the highlights and the mids as well, which you can see on the headlights here. And if we go to the Sony default settings in a moment, you'll see that horrible green cast is back. The highlight roll-off is very severe and harsh. There's clipping in the yellow channel, and the sky is it's lost that kind of nice sunset glow that was happening with my settings. So the next shot, we'll examine the red channel. This is a Christmas tree, and the red highlights are red. I don't know if you've noticed that. It's a stunning observation, and I don't know why a company the size of Sony can't grasp this basic principle that Christmas tree lights are red and not orange. And if we go forward towards the Sony shot, yes, there's not a single red light on the tree, and it's not because the exposure was too bright. They're both at the same exposure settings. Here's mine, and here's Sony's. Same exposure. And you'd notice that the blues have issue as well, and we'll come to those in a moment. So again, yeah, this shot is mine, and this is Sony's. And again, the dominant colours that I'm getting from the Sony are blue and green. That's about it. We go back. Yes, it's a sunset. It's a dusk scene. It's as my eyes saw it, and it's as that warm, incandescent light actually is. But it's not at the expense of losing all the cool, beautiful sky and the blue baubles on the tree. The Sony shot is just appalling. It's losing them sales, and they need to do something about it and give me $1 million so that I can fix it quickly, because I've already fixed it. And they don't need to hire Canon's best people. They just need to spend $14.99 on my guide. And it's baffling that A, they haven't got a guide already that's bundled with the camera to show you how to use the advanced settings that give you these much better results. It's also baffling that the results aren't like that on default, and that you have to fight the camera and dial in all these other settings to get it to look like that. Thankfully, you only need to do it once and then it's done. So again, a similar thing. We've got the warm incandescent light from the street, and that should be a nice warm orange. And we've got the cooler blues at the back of the street in the EOSHD Pro Color shot. Now the Sony one, it's like Chernobyl with a nuclear disaster, with this really weird glowing yellow, and the blue is really diminished in the background to the point where you don't really notice it at all. So it just looks like the whole shot has half the amount of colour information in it than you'd expect from a Canon 1DX or a 1DC. So again, EOS HD Pro Color has fixed the entire issue. We've got more than one colour. Amazing. Now, forward to the next shot. Here finally we get to the skin tones, which is kind of important. Now if I play this shot, it's naturally kind of got a warmness to it. Her hair is actually blonde, her skin looks like skin. Here's the Sony. Now, I've been a big fan of The Simpsons for a while, but I don't want people to look like from The Simpsons. I want them to look like real people. So the Sony settings on default are great if you like Bart Simpson in your videos. I don't. So fix the damn settings, Sony, for crying out loud. I mean, if I can do it, then surely... Anyway, this is with Pro Color, and I want you to look at the person, his face and the skin tone, and how natural and smooth and flattering that is. And it's in difficult, challenging, natural light that you can't really do anything about. And I didn't want to expose it too dark, just for the skin. So this is maybe, it could have been exposed a little better, I'd say. But it's holding together. Now with the Sony settings, no it isn't. No, he's dead and he's in a nuclear disaster. And it's the same light, the same strength, the same exposure, the same lens, everything is the same. Okay, this is Pro Color again, and we've got a big brass cauldron of German wine or something. The highlight on the cauldron is quite hot, and it's just about clipping, but it's a lovely smooth roll off, and nothing weird has happened. If I roll back to the default settings, oh dear, it's gone. And it's really kind of video-y looking. It's something you just cannot do anything about with the straight out the camera default colour. And it needs to be expertly tuned so that this happens. Here we've got more Pro Color skin tones, very smooth. And here we've got more Sony skin tones, very dead, very pale, not flattering. See, the difference is night and day. And her hair is very nice. The Sony shot, this is the exact same exposure. And it's just appalling. I mean, there's nothing right about the colour in this shot. Her hair is kind of limp and lifeless. Grey skin. The red highlights, the hot red highlights, a virtually yellow. Nothing about this shot works. If we go back to the EOS HD setting, it's like a completely different camera. Again, the difference and the exposure is the same on both shots. Now here we have another warm scene, and again the difference. I've brought out the warm tones, but the blues are nicer as well. The Sony shot, the blues are grey, the warm oranges have gone into this nuclear apocalypse again of yellow and green. Again, the green just overwhelms the shot on the Sony profiles. The settings are just not optimal for me at all from an artist's point of view. The red baubles are also green, the gold baubles are green, the Christmas tree, the white lights are green, everything about the shot is green. We switched to the EOS HD Pro Color. Suddenly the full gamut hits you, and we've got red baubles, we've got gold, we've got proper distinctions in green separation, we've got warm acorns of brown, and the Christmas tree pots are actually red. Once again, just the difference. So yeah, another one where you can focus on the people in the shot, how warm and real they look with EOS HD. Then the Sony one, I've noticed something quite interesting. It's not just the yellow, the yellowness of the skin, the deadness of the skin with the Sony shot. It's the clipping, the waxy kind of texture that it gives her head. She looks like an alien. And if we roll back to the Pro Color EOS HD setting, she looks like a person again. Alien, person. Alien, person. Again, EOS HD Pro Color looks like a Canon DSLR still. It's absolutely beautiful in terms of its warmness. The warmness can be dialed down if you don't want it. You can shoot S-Log and grade it however you like, but the point is, it doesn't look like this, which is the Sony equivalent version of it. And if I had this straight out the camera and I was given it to grade, I'd think, what on earth were they thinking? And is there a problem with the screen? So, the famous blues of Sony's cameras. This is fixed. This is the fixed frame, and everything in the shop was lit up in neon blue. EOS HD Pro Color prevents the early clipping of the blues, so that the bright light, when it's on the verge of clipping and a reflection on the floor, is still natural looking and smooth, and it's still blue. The hottest highlight in the shot is actually the blue light on the wall, which is clipped to white, which is fine because that happens on an Alexa and it happens on a 1DC and an Epic, and that's normal. Now if we go to the Sony treatment without EOS HD Pro Color, Sony's Rec 709 default picture profile, and this happens to JPEGs as well, and yes, it's turned green. There's a green toxic sludge oozing out of the floor and onto the ceiling. So it's not really what you want at a gig or a concert when you've got that kind of blue neon light, which is quite common in those situations. Here is a more natural kind of blue shot that you get in every city scene, in every film, some kind of highlights reflecting in the water, in the bokeh behind the actress or the actor. And with Pro Color, I've managed to stop it from clipping, and I've managed to give the warm tones and the cool tones in one shot. With the custom white balance settings, it helps as well, and you have more control over the temperature. Now, go to the Sony shot, yeah, the highlights have burnt out to this weird neon cyan colour. And with Canon's cameras it doesn't happen, and with EOS HD Pro Color on Sony cameras it doesn't happen. It's only with Sony's default settings and pretty much a large combination of other settings that it happens on, and I've managed somehow to find that narrow window where it doesn't. Now here's a shot which really shows off the full gamut of reds and oranges in EOS HD Pro Color's profile. It's much more as the eye was seeing it as well, and it's as a Canon would see it. And pay special attention to the gold in the middle. And if we go to the Sony shot, yeah, the gold has gone yellow, the reds have gone pink, orange, I don't know, but it's not red. And there's a slight greenish cast to the whole picture. And just to prove that it is actually supposed to be red, the Coca-Cola sign itself, it's red on the EOS HD Pro Color, and on Sony's settings it's not red. Fire! You can't get more warm than fire. So how can Sony make it yellow? I'll show you how. This is the EOS HD Pro Color settings. It's beautiful fire, and the Sony fire is yellow. It just doesn't look very warm, doesn't look like fire. Roll back again to the EOS HD settings, and this is not a white balance tweak. This is an actual colour profile that I've designed to capture Canon-like colour. And again, same white balance setting, same exposure. The Sony one has lost the essence of fire itself. Croissants. This is a real litmus test of whether Sonys can do croissants and other baked goods. The answer is that no, Sony can't do baked goods, because this is my profile and this is the Sony profile. Now, this is just a little kind of run and gun shot on the way back on the U-Bahn in Berlin, and this is with EOS HD Pro Color. And here's the same shot, but everything looks dead in yellow. This is the Sony colour. Some of the advanced picture profiles on Sony's cameras, the ITU 709 Matrix colour, gives even worse colour than the default Sony JPEG settings. So it really does make sense to invest in EOS HD Pro Color for just $15 to fix by far the worst thing about Sony's cameras. And I'm just pleased that they've given us the advanced tuning settings to fix it. Not that anyone really understands what they do, which is why it's taken me so long to fix the issues and to get it to look exactly like Canon straight off the card. And if Sony had just given a proper explanation to filmmakers in the first place about what their advanced settings did in the picture profiles and what difference a nice custom white balance would make, it would have really helped everyone, and it would have stopped people like me from dumping the A7S II and going with the 1DC or the 1DX Mark II. So thank you for listening. I'm glad we've finally sorted out Sony's colour for them, and I'll await my check in the post from Japan. Thank you.